The rhythmic clatter of the train wheels echoed through the dimly lit compartment. Helen sat by the window, her gaze lost in the endless blur of dusk rolling past. Retired from her decades-long career as a teacher, her new life felt devoid of purpose, each day merging into the next, like the scenery outside. She had once filled her classroom with laughter and learning, but now the silence of her small apartment weighed her down like a heavy shroud. Grief had become her unwelcome companion since losing her son, Jamie, in a tragic accident just a year ago. The vibrant energy she'd poured into nurturing young minds was now eclipsed by the shadow of her loss. It felt as if the world had moved on without her, leaving her stranded in a sea of memories that cut deeper than any wave. As the train trudged on towards the city she hoped would offer a fresh start, Helen reflected on how she had convinced herself that moving away would heal her broken heart. She had packed her few belongings, determined to escape the echoes of laughter that lingered in every corner of her home. But with each mile, the weight of her grief felt heavier, her resolve faltering like the flickering lights of the train overhead. The air inside the compartment grew thick with unspoken stories and weary souls. Helen watched fellow passengers with a mix of envy and longing, their lives still vibrant and connected. She had once been like them, a beam of positivity lighting up her classroom, but now the darkness of her loss felt insurmountable. Was it too late for her to find joy again? Could she truly start over in a city that felt like just another stop on her train of despair? Then, as the train made a scheduled stop, a sudden commotion surged through the carriage. A frantic mother, her voice trembling, was frantically searching for her daughter, a little girl who had wandered away in the crowded station. Helen's heart twisted at the desperation in the mother's eyes, a reflection of her own pain. Memories of Jamie flashed through her mind, each one more bittersweet than the last. In that moment, something shifted inside her. Helen felt an urge to help. Rising from her seat, she joined the search for the little girl, and as she moved through the throng of passengers, the fog of her grief started to lift. She called out for the child, her voice growing stronger with each shout, echoing through the platform. It was as if she had reconnected with a part of herself that had long been dormant, fueled by a purpose beyond her own sorrow. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours, but finally they found her, a tiny figure peeking from behind a vending machine, the innocent spark of childhood alive in her wide eyes. The mother's expression morphed from panic to sheer relief, and for the first time in a long while, Helen felt the warmth of connection. The gratitude shared between them was like a lifeline thrown to a drowning soul. In that brief interaction, Helen realized she could reclaim her life, not by escaping her pain, but by embracing the experiences that still remained. She could use her years of teaching and caring to nurture not only herself, but others, in a new city. As the train resumed its journey, Helen sat back down, feeling lighter yet stronger. The sorrow of losing Jamie would always linger, but it no longer had a hold over her. Grief was now a part of her story, not her entire narrative. She resolved to volunteer in schools in her new city, to fill the gaps left by teachers who needed support. Helping children would bring her closer to her own son's memory and allow her to forge new connections. When she finally arrived in her new city, the twilight of the evening enveloped her like a warm embrace. Helen took a deep breath, ready to step into the unknown. She embraced the power of companionship and community that awaited her. Life was not about forgetting, but about remembering and finding strength in those memories. Helen had embarked on her journey to start over, shedding the weight of regret and allowing herself to heal. And in that journey, she found hope, and with it the will to help others find their way too. The train that had once carried her into the abyss now took her to new beginnings. As she stepped onto the platform, she smiled, ready to meet whatever came next.